You have more friends than me.
Whoa, that's an anomaly because you, statistically speaking,
right? That is also true.
Weird.
What?
How can both be true?
Because science. Because math. It's actually because math, which is
stupid math.
Science-ish.
Sure.
I am I almost said a scienceologist, and then I realized that actually is close to a real thing.
Well, let's say math has the stink of science on it. Let's say that.
Sure. It really does. It really does. I'm going to find this friendship paradox thing, though, and put it in the chat room for people.
Yeah. It's a good little education moment, folks.
It's one of the really fun statistical things that I think magicians use quite a bit is the birthday thing, because the probability of someone else in a crowd having the same birthday as you is actually not bad.
Like me and David Hasselhoff.
And anybody who has Facebook birthday alerts turned on should realize why, because you've got one every day.
That's true. Or in my son's case, he lied, and he says he was the other day. 32.
I did that. I relied on Facebook, and then I got all these birthday wishes on a random day at one point, and I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, it's not working.
Now I feel bad.
Not accurate.
Not true. Not true. We got lots of Google I/O stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
But we also have a really interesting story about screens, the disappearance of screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I have things to say about that.
I got things to say, too. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I could take all kinds of sides of that screen story. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have your tea?
Oh, no. But I'm ready.
Comfortably?
I have saline solution.
Here we go.
When having tea with the Queen, you must remember 3 important things. 1. Pinky up. 2. Never wear a hat more audacious than hers. And 3. Make sure you wear your DTNS t-shirt. To become Queen appropriate, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, May 18th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Scott Johnson of the Frog Pants Studios, it always says. I always think of you as Scott Johnson from My Extra Life Radio. No, I don't. I think of you as from The Instance. But
I thought of me as that back in 2005 as well. Up
sure.
To 2009. But yeah, it's that is now a far distant thing in my past, and now there's too many shows to keep track of, so it's totally fine. Just call me Wednesday Man.
Wednesday Man. Scott Johnson. We're going to talk about Google I/O here in a second. Tons of announcements out of there. We also have an interesting topic from Recode from yesterday about whether we will not have screens for our devices in the future. Really? Cool. But let's start off with some headlines. Google announced a voice-activated device called Home. The Google Home has a speaker in the base and integrates with other Cast devices like Chromecast Video, Chromecast Audio. It is most definitely an Amazon Echo competitor. Has a modular case. You can customize the base with different colors. Google Home has a mic system. It's always on, always listening. Has a speaker, obviously. That's part of the customization side. No buttons, though. You can't customize the speaker, just the case around it. No buttons. Is a little shorter and squatter than the Echo, and it can support multi-room audio with those other Cast-enabled devices. So if you have either other Google Homes or Chromecast Audio plugged into other speakers in other rooms, you can say, hey, play this song in all the rooms around the house, or play it only in the baby's room and wake her up. It supports home networking systems for home control, including Nest, obviously. Google Home won't arrive until later this year, though, and they didn't give us a price either.
No, but they did congratulate Amazon before announcing it, which I thought was kind of interesting. Don't usually hear that in a keynote from a company who's about to release a competing product, but literally said, I think it was something along the way, on words of, congratulations to Amazon for pioneering a new category or something to that effect.
It could be interpreted as a little sneering, don't you think?
Maybe, but then again, Google, all things that we'll say about today's Google I/O and all of this stuff that we'll talk about, at the end of it all, I still feel like Google is fairly agnostic in a lot of ways. They tend to probably genuinely be happy that this category exists and have decided to throw their own spin on it. They're always talking up there pretty freely on stage about what apps are available for iOS and Android, and they show graphics using iPhones during this conference. They're not very territorial that way.
And listen, folks, it's my wife that works for Google, not Scott. So.
I know it sounds like I'm being like a Google apologist here, and I understand business is business, but their business, it is in their best interest to be as agnostic as possible, and I think that's good.
Yeah, and that could be one of the advantages to Google Home. A lot of it depends on the price, but also, is this going to be compatible with a lot of other things? The new Google Assistant, which is really just the new name for the voice enacted assistant that already existed, is now available in Google Home. So anything that your voice activation could already do in the knowledge graph from Google will be added to Google Home, and they say they're going to expand those kinds of things. So, for instance, OpenTable, Uber, etc., those are all already available, and that's where the horse race is going to be, because Amazon Echo has been adding a lot of those partnerships as well.
Yeah, and it looks like a big air freshener. That's the other nice thing.
It probably smells great.
I said on Twitter, I no sale unless things puffing out every 10 minutes some nice, fragrant, fresh scent.
The first partnership will be with Febreze. You mark my words.
Okay, good. Google also announced on the very same stage a messaging app. That's right, another messaging app, everybody, called Allo. That's ALLO, kind of like hello, like that. I'm sure nobody, well, I hope nobody says it that way. Anyway, it includes whisper shout, which lets you use a slider to set whether your messages are big or small. They demonstrated that with a couple of emojis, big smiley face and a big yay, or a small one, which is more like a whisper. Therefore, I guess expressing more emotions than we currently had. It's kind of interesting. You can use also a ink. It's called ink to draw on the photos. It includes smart reply from inbox, which learns over time to suggest appropriate replies. It also includes Google Assistant, the voice-activated smart assistant, which can do things like detect you're talking about restaurants, suggest some book or movie you should see or where you should see it. They described some of the stuff as like movie tickets and that kind of thing while they were on stage. You can also use it to iChat, or rather chat with Google Assistant directly. And finally, an incognito mode, or as Tom would call it, opt-in security, which is end-to-end decryption, discrete notifications, and permanently delete stuff, so it doesn't have to stay on your phone. It's coming to iOS and Android in the summer. I was curious how you felt about the whole, why isn't this just encrypted all day long?
Well, and actually, the reason I get the reason, which is when it's end-to-end encrypted, you can't use Google Assistant because that needs Google to be seeing your messages in order to work. So what they said, I went and read up on it a little more. They said you're encrypted on the wire for the regular messages, but once it gets to the end, you have to let Google see your message if you want to take advantage of all those Google Assistant features, like it's saying, hey, I see you're talking about restaurants. Here are 3 great restaurants. You mentioned pasta. Here, they're Italian restaurants, and if you click on one, I'll book it through OpenTable for you. It's got that chatbot functionality. You can't do that if it's end-to-end encrypted. So I kind of changed my initial reaction to say, okay, well, at least they're giving us the opportunity to say, you know what, I don't want to do Google Assistant right now. I really need this conversation to be entirely private from any kind of prying eyes.
I don't want
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to be conspiratorial, but some of the language on stage caught me a little funny, and it's probably nothing, so I'm just going to say it here, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. But he said, when talking about being able to delete your messages, it says you'll be able to, he said you'll be able to permanently delete your messages so that no one will ever be able to read them on your phone. So that was a statement. And some people have gone, oh, well, where would they be able to read them, right?
Now, if it's actually end-to-end encrypted and you've deleted them, theoretically, it's still encrypted, even if it's not deleted from the server. And I guess one of the issues is even if it's end-to-end encrypted with another partner, the other person could keep a copy of your conversation.
Yeah.
So that could be another reason for a little bit of the mushy language.
Yeah, and I get it, and I know that they have to say these things, but it perked my interest during a time that is very security focused in our national technology conversations.
It's a little bit weird that Google's getting into a messaging app when they already have a messaging app called Hangouts, which is different from the Hangouts we're using right now to stream video. So there's all kinds of confusion there. But I do like it. If you look at it from the other side, you could say, well, this is a chat bot. This is like Facebook M, because you can have a conversation directly by doing @Google and just talk to Google Assistant. but you also can talk to friends. So it's either another messaging app, but with some AI built in, or it's a chatbot with the ability to talk to your friends.
Yeah, and as grumpy as I was about, oh great, another app, that's what we need, more messaging apps to try to choose between, which by the way will inspire tomorrow's comic strip, which I've already got all ready in my head.
Fantastic! I can't wait.
But also I never, this argument, and you mentioned this pre-show, this argument that, well, don't make that, someone else has already made it. I don't want to live in a world where that happens. I would like people to iterate and try to do better and compete in the same space, and things tend to win out when they're better. And if this is better, great. They tried that with Google Plus. They didn't really do to Facebook, I think, what they wanted it to, like not even close. But I was still glad they tried. And in this case, saying that would be like saying, well, we never need anything better than Yahoo or Alta Vista to search for the web, and along comes Google. Who needs them? Like, I hate that argument, and so I'm happy they're trying it, and I will definitely give Allo a try. I really don't like the name, though. I'm just going to lay that out right now that I hate the name.
Yeah, I wish that they should name it Vera. That the Google Assistant should be named Vera.
I just can't. It feels like I'm trying to fake an accent every time I say Allo.
Allo.
Like the fourth with you.
The other app they announced is a little better. It's called Duo. It is a one-to-one video calling app, hence the name. There's two of you, one on one, makes two. A feature called Knock Knock, which really bothered Phil Shane. He's like, why the infantile names? But yes, the feature called Knock Knock shows a live video stream of the caller before you pick up. It's end-to-end encrypted and built on WebRTC and quick. So supposedly it's going to be very reliable. At least that's what they claim. Coming to iOS and Android this summer. And I do like this nifty. I mean, it is a small thing, but it's one that I agreed with one of the live bloggers. Why didn't somebody else think of this before? It seems obvious that when someone's calling you, you see their video before you pick up.
That's
so it just gives you so many contextual clues.
That's right. Science fiction's always done it that way. If you remember in the early goings of Aliens, the sequel, Ripley tries to get a hold of Paul Reiser and tell her sure she'll go on the mission because she's having too many weird dreams with the cat and everything.
Right.
And that is a thing where you get a little stream of her before she sees him. But I'm trying to think in practical terms how it's actually going to help me. If it says my daughter's calling, or if it shows her kind of staring at the screen waiting for me to answer, I don't know what the difference is, I guess. I
mean, I wonder what the difference is. But I think it is, rather than an icon and then you click it and then it connects, it does show like this call's all ready for you. You just gotta accept. Or in some cases you see they're at a club and you're like, oh, I can tell they're a little drunk. I'm not going to talk to them right now, maybe. I don't know.
All right. That's actually a decent point, that last one, and I haven't considered that. So, yeah, maybe this is another way to screen a little better. I don't know.
Yeah, it's call screening for sure.
Google announced it will take submissions for the name Android N at android.com/n. There's a very funny video they produced about this that Tom played right before the show. It's really great. Though Google reserves the right to make the final call, so we're not going to end up with Bodie McBoatface at the end of this thing. Google also claims its compiler is now 600% faster, and apps are 75% faster to install. Android N promises file-based encryption, media network hardening, and most impressive, automatic update downloads that install upon reboot. So say goodbye to that Android is updating button, which everyone hates. The recent apps will be limited to the most recent and will have a clear all button. You can now, oh man, does iOS need that? Please copy that, Apple. That'd be wonderful. You will also now be able to double tap on the recents button and go to the previously used app, and you can reply right from the notifications and mute or silence them from there as well. A beta release candidate is out today at android.com/beta, with the full release coming a little bit later this summer. They seem like small incremental stuff outside of the big performance increases. The small interfacey things were great, and I think that stuff's awesome.
Man, those Android updates are the bane of my existence on my Nexus 9. I cannot wait for background updates and getting rid of that button. Yeah. I hate that button so much. Google also announced VR mode in Android N and the Daydream platform for VR development, which gives VR apps exclusive access to the device's processor cores when the apps are in the foreground. Phones running Daydream have to match some performance and latency standards, but Samsung, HTC, LG, Mi, Huawei, ZTE, Asus, and Alcatel are already committed to making Daydream-ready phones starting this fall. Google also has a reference design for a controller, has 2 buttons and a clickable touchpad, and versions of that are coming from manufacturers launchers in the fall as well. And Google Play for VR has struck a bunch of partnerships. Ubisoft's in there, Netflix is in there, Hulu, HBO, Wall Street Journal, CNN, New York Times, MLB, and more. VR app partners also include itself. Google will have its own VR apps: Google Play Movies, Google Street View, Google Photos, and YouTube. So we didn't get the all-in-one headset that was rumored, but we did get a platform that looks like will have a ton of VR-ready phones that will work better and have an external controller and sensors, etc.
Well, it's a huge jump from cardboard, certainly, and it's a decent jump, at least a half step up from what Gear VR was. Gear VR was taking an existing but not necessarily optimized phone for the experience and doing a pretty good job. By all accounts, Gear VR is a pretty effective platform. So this feels like, to me, this is like almost a Gear competitor. We don't know price, so that's kind of a stinker. So who knows where that's going to land. I'm predicting $100. If I'm wrong, I'll be shocked if it's anything more or less than that. But
well, price for what? You mean the phones?
Just just for the thing itself, the Daydream platform, the thing you're going to stick your phone in.
Oh yeah, that's just a platform. That's just something that the people use. I don't know. It can't be that much, right?
Well, the controller included, like, I don't know, $100. If it's more,
I think they're going to vary. I think they're going to be all over the place.
Right, and obviously these are open to partners to make their own stuff, and that's going to get interesting actually to see what they do. It's kind of like, it's a bit like Steam VR on the higher end. The Steam VR is a platform, not a specific headset.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what others do with it. But in terms of what it actually is, though, I guess I came away a tiny bit disappointed because I'm all about, well, hey, these phones have all these sensors in them now. Let's maximize that and figure out a way to make this work. But on the other hand, I was really hoping Google was going to go the next step up, have a self-contained unit that had all the optics and all the everything in it, the screens, the sensors, all of it, its own processor, all that sort of thing. Make it Wi-Fi compatible to upload games from Google Play or wherever you're going to get them, whatever those experiences come from, and really go into it as a standalone VR device. I'm not sure why I think that matters, but for whatever reason, that feels just like a more dedicated experience.
Well, there's no reason one of these partner companies couldn't make that.
That's true. That's true.
Because there's the phone, the headset, and the controller, and they could combine them all into one product.
Yeah,
It'd be
they
interesting
could
to see.
Just forego the phone. I mean, really, all we're doing is saying, well, why isn't there a solid state thing in there that is what the phone is doing? And sure, somebody could do that, and maybe they totally will. Regardless, though, the fact that they're putting more of their foot in the VR pool is good, a very good thing for VR in general. And I still say, despite how excited I am about these more plugged-in, wired, space in your house, crazy, motion-controlled things we're doing with Vive and otherwise, as exciting as all of that is, where this all ends up being killer app is the day where we're wearing a wireless, long battery life, immersive experience. And these are, in my opinion, steps in that direction in maybe a faster way than we're getting on the big desktop stuff.
100%.
Android Wear 2.0 coming this fall, everybody. Get your watch on. With Smart Ready, handwriting recognition, and a full keyboard. That is just crazy to me, the full keyboard part. I did watch that. Google Fit will now automatically recognize activity like running, and you can stream music like Spotify right from your watch face. This can all be done without the need of a phone if your watch has a connection. So you'll need to have like an LTE watch. There are manufacturers who are making Android Wear watches that can do it. They didn't mention this on stage, so it threw me for a bit of a loop, and I'm like, how the heck are you getting the data? But it turns out that's how. That also means apps can be standalone and run entirely on the watch. And finally, developers will now be able to use a unified API to include data from other applications on their watch faces. But maybe the biggest step forward here, Tom, is I can go running with that watch on and potentially not have to have a big phone strap someplace and communicate with it and have it just run autonomously, which, again, like VR, is the big goal here.
Yeah. And for the devs, Android Studio 2.2 offers faster builds, test recording, which writes test code for you, layout designer, APK analyzer, enhanced C++ support, including CMake and NDK build. The next generation of Firebase was announced. It'll support a suite of integrated products now, including analytics, crash reporting, remote config, cloud messaging, and dynamic links. You can link right into your app or right to buy the app, depending on the situation. It's dynamic. The new Firebase is available today at firebase.google.com. There's a free tier, then you got to pay if you want to do more usage. Finally, developers can adjust their existing apps to be available without installation with Android Instant Apps. Only the pieces of the app it requires are loaded. Instant Apps is backward compatible to KitKat. And one of the instances they showed was, I want to pay for parking at this parking meter, but I don't have the app. You could just get the app, just the amount to pay the parking meter without having to install it. And of course, every app that is instant will also have a little install button if you decide you do want to install it.
That's pretty awesome. Android N is also being demonstrated in the car at the Google I/O running all systems. In the meantime, the existing Android Auto system is adding Waze to your year-long without support for hot words. So you just say, "Okay, Google, take me home."
No, it's adding Waze this year along with support for hot words.
Oh, I read that weird. No, that's good. The car
Those
stuff.
are two different things.
The car stuff's exciting to me in the context of all the other stuff they were saying today about contextual conversations with Google Assistant and being able to say, I need to go to work, and the car would just know because you've gone to work so many times. It doesn't need to be that specific. And then you can say things like, but first stop at the 7-Eleven that's along the way. And in theory, the navigation system would know what you're talking about because it knows the route because you're already in the same context of conversation you already were. All of that stuff as applied to automobile navigation got me super, super jazzed.
Yeah, I think this is cool too, and Wi-Fi support in the car. It's all good. Microsoft is selling the feature phone business it acquired from Nokia to a company called FIH Mobile, which is actually a subsidiary of Foxconn. They are getting $350 million for it. Keep in mind, they paid $7.2 billion for all of the Nokia handset business. Now, that included the smartphone business, which they're holding on to. But yeah, feature phone business, $350 million. FIH Mobile is the subsidiary from Foxconn that's getting it. It gets the right to use the Nokia brand. It also gets a manufacturing facility in Hanoi, Vietnam. And then Nokia, the current Nokia, is going to license its brand, the parts that it still owns, to a newly created Finnish company called HMD Global, which will sell Android phones and tablets and partner up with FIH Mobile on their production. Microsoft says it will continue to develop Windows 10 Mobile and support Windows Phone devices like its own Lumia. Very careful wording there. Will continue to develop Windows 10 Mobile and support existing Lumia devices. That feeds a little bit of the rumor fire that they're not going to make any more Lumias and switch to a Surface phone in the future. The sale is expected to be finalized in the second half of the year.
That whole story just kind of stings. Apple is opening its iOS app design and development accelerator in Bangalore, which finally, right there in India, early next year. Apple will be hosting weekly briefings, conducting one-on-one app reviews, and provide support and guidance for Swift programming. That's the language that will now be open to everybody. Microsoft and 500 startups also have accelerators in Bangalore. Tim Cook will travel to, I'm not going to say that right. Hyderabad, next to Apple's first development center outside the U.S. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. So Tim Cook just went to China and did a lot of work there to try to help Apple out in China. Now he's in India trying to do a lot of work to help Apple out in India. And sales of Apple phones in India are on the rise. And it's exactly the kind of situation Apple would like to take up the slack from sort of stale sales in other parts of the world. So this is a good way to do it. Help some developers out. Put a development center in India. All good things for India, and probably good things for Apple too.
Maybe he can high five Bono in one of those places again. That'd be great.
LinkedIn announced this morning that a dataset containing 117 million email addresses and passwords from a hack 4 years ago in 2012 has been released for sale online. There's actually more account information, something around 167 million, but only 117 million have both email address and password. The person who has possession of this data is trying to sell it. LinkedIn is working to validate the data and contact affected users. So you should get an email from LinkedIn if your email and password are still in this database. However, you should have changed that password since 2012 already. So if you haven't done that, you might just want to do it anyway.
Oh my gosh, go there now if you haven't. Family profiles on Uber let you set up one account for all billing. That's good news. Uber introduced the trip tracker tool today. Anyone who rides under a family profile account would have trip detail notification and location sent to the person in charge of the profile account, i.e. a parent or whoever's in charge. Trip tracker is available now with the latest version of the Uber app.
This actually made me want to start a family account for Eileen and I, because it'd be kind of nice to be able to use that if we're one of us or the other is in an Uber to tell where they are.
Yeah, and it's not like this is a control thing or like we need one person in charge of this otherwise complicated mess. It's just I feel like this is just a better way for us to be able to track what's going on and have at our fingertips what we need from Uber. I think it's great.
The confusion between Time Warner, which runs HBO and TNT and Turner Network Television, and Time Warner Cable, which provides an ISP service and cable television video service to people's homes, is ending, Scott. Our long national nightmare is over on cord killers. Charter's acquisition of Time Warner Cable and Bright House Networks, serving a total of 25 million customers in 41 states, has been finalized. Charter now owns Time Warner Cable. Charter paid $55 billion for Time Warner Cable and $10.4 billion for Bright House. Charter told Bloomberg it will phase out the names Time Warner Cable and Bright House Networks. And under the conditions of the deal, don't forget, Charter can't do usage-based pricing. They can't do data caps. They can't charge interconnect fees to content providers like Netflix, and they can't make TV exclusivity deals that are harmful to online services like PlayStation Vue or Sling TV.
Man, $65.4 billion in total. That's a lot of money. I could use just one of those. Just throw me one of those.
Just one of those billions?
You
should have started Bright House Cable then.
I know, right? Oh, my gosh. One final story here. Netflix launched a speed test called fast.com. It loads as soon as you visit the URL and gives you a report on how your download speed with a link to compare it to, say, speedtest.net. The site's FAQ says that if consumers aren't getting the speeds they're paying for, quote, you can ask your IP, or ISP rather, about the results. That's cool.
This is a really interesting little thing. It's instant. Like, I went to visit it, and it gave me my speed before I was ready to interpret it, and it's only download, right? But just type in fast.com, and like within a second, you'll have your speed test almost done.
Yep, it's all done already for me. It says I'm at 180 meg down, which is exactly what I'm paying for. I'm happy.
Look at that. I'm at 310 down. Thank you, Frontier.
Damn it. You and your 310.
We're no Brian Brushwood, but we get by. But this is really just to get you to know what your speed is and pay attention. They have a link to speed test, like you said. They don't have a link to Netflix. They have a Netflix logo there, but it's not clickable.
Oh, that is really cool. I'm running it again to see what the difference is, and it's the same. It looks pretty reliable, and it's also consistent with there's my speed test, and it's the same. So,
yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, how come speed test takes so long to tell me? Why can't they just tell me immediately?
Well, because it's doing ping and latency and upload. It's doing a lot more and giving you a lot more information. And there's other websites that are even better and more reliable for that sort of thing than even speed test. With Netflix is doing one thing, so they can do it really fast.
That's super rad. I like it.
Hey, thanks to everybody who submitted things we used from our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Scotty Rowland started a space on the new Google Space app, the YouTube Space app, so you can go check that out. He's got a link about that in the subreddit. Also, thanks to Flobama, Captain Kipper, TG Stellar, Steve I.O., another Jay Martin, and more. Stoic Squirrel got one in there today as well. Go check it out, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. That is a look at the headlines. So, Recode had an article from David Bashuki yesterday entitled, "Someday You'll Have No Screens in Your Life." So before I explain the concept, just that statement, Scott, what is your gut quick reaction?
All right. So I have trained myself over the last few years not to let statements like that get under my skin too much and accept the fact that trends change and how we use technology changes, and to be open to ideas like this. I believe that it's partially true that we are heading into a place, and already in some ways enjoying a place in technology where we need less screens. The Echo and this new thing from Google are good examples of that. You have very little in the way of visual feedback from those devices, usually in the form of an LED, letting it know it's listening to you or responding to you. That seems true of the new Google device as well. But while that is all true, at the end of the day, we're still going to need to display complex information and imagery in some way or form. Now, those screens may be small AR devices we wear on our heads. They may be small VR devices we wear, and it very well could be holographic projections. I don't know, but in my mind, those are screens still, and we can't get away from it completely. So this idea.
David disagrees with you. He says they aren't screens. Here's how his argument goes, and he's actually right there with you, to be honest. He's saying, look, We've replaced paper calendars. We've replaced Rolodexes. We don't use dictionaries anymore or paper maps very often. Media players, file cabinets, fax machines, wired phones, they've all been replaced. He says what's really left for the most part when you walk into the coffee shop is your phone, your laptop charger, your earbuds, your wallet, your purse, and your keys. Here's his timeline. He says by the 2020s, your wallet, your keys, and your laptop charger will no longer be necessary. Your key will be on your smartphone. He points out Volvo's already doing smartphone keys for its cars in 2017. Most vehicles will have that option by 2025. Your laptop charger, maybe it's wireless powering. He doesn't think so. He thinks battery life will just be good enough that you won't really need to take the charger with you all the time. He says your driver's license, your credit card is moving onto the phone. There's obviously things like Android Pay and Apple Pay, but also some states are doing driver's license on the phone now. Insurance cards are going onto the phone now. He says by the 2030s, though, that's when the screens really disappear. Smart glasses will replace your laptop, your phone, and your earbuds. There'll be augmented reality displays and finger tracking. So finger tracking, similar to Leap Motion or Kinect, will get so good that you'll just have everything projected, whether it's contact lenses or glasses. He says we might have embedded earbuds in the temple. He says we might have CPUs embedded in our upper arm by the 2040s. So a lot of this is crazy futuristic thinking, but he says eventually we'll just have AR contact lenses, CPU in the arm, embedded earbuds, and we won't carry anything. We'll just have it projected for us on whatever surface we need to have it projected, maybe even just hanging in midair. We'll have virtual keyboards. We'll have AR displays. That'll be it.
Well, it's a bit of
actual screens.
It's a bit of a semantic argument, though, because
let me make it non-semantic for you.
All right, go.
Let's say, and he doesn't, you picked something where he's not actually like 100% clear in this. He's saying no physical screens, no glass screens. You won't need to carry a thing with you anymore.
Okay. Well,
it's not about the screen as an interface element. It's about we won't have to have a thing in our bag. We won't need bags. The industry that makes bags is going to plummet in the 2040s.
So forgetting that atoms and protons are actual measurable physical things, I'll keep that out of the argument for now. I actually think he's right. I totally agree with that.
Will just be photons.
I guess if it was coming more from the angle that our toaster would just go, your toast is done, sir, and we just get our toast, but there's no display to let us know anything, or individual devices like the Echo are doing things without any display at all. I think that's also true, that we're going to start moving toward things where we don't need displays to tell us.
But you won't need an Echo. You won't need a laptop. You won't need a tablet. You won't need a thing because it'll all happen over the network and in your head. Now, so here's the wrinkle in your cheese, though, Tom, which isn't a phrase at all. I made that up. I like it, though. If you and I need to be collaborating in some way, this will all require that you and I can share those quote-unquote screens or AR experiences, or however we're seeing these, if it's being projected on our retinas, whatever that is, you and I are going to have to be able to look at a virtual whiteboard together and make decisions together and communicate together. And so if all of this includes wireless collaboration tools, then I'm all in on his well, it'd have to. Future. Well, it would have. And that's part of the AR experience is going to be, can it sync up perspectives to know Scott's looking at it this direction, I'm looking at it this direction, so show it to me here, but show him the same thing but at a different angle, and that's absolutely possible. Yeah, and it's just like when you're in a video game in an MMO, and I'm standing here and I see that, and you see the same thing, but you see it from a different angle. That's a totally good point. If you walk over to a thing and you pick it up or move it or change its angle slightly, I should see this change in the world, and I should see this change in whatever the object is. If that is the utopian ideal he is describing, I think he's probably 100% correct. Here's the only other thing I would say, and this doesn't really wrinkle the cheese as much as it's just the practical way of things. To get to that point, since we don't make binary jumps like that as a human race, there is going to be this huge long tail of people who don't have the implants, who can't afford the thing, who can't do, that's not so ubiquitous that everybody's got a way to do it. So there will be a long time where, like today, I had to do something with the DMV the other day, and I had to fax it. I had to put it in a fax machine. Remember those? Oh, yeah. I had to do that at tax time, too. Exactly. So occasionally these things still crop up. And I'm not, maybe it'll only be government that lags behind, I don't know, but that will be the frustrating thing, is that it will not be universal, and until it's that. Well, but you're just saying what is true of every technological
That's true.
advance,
Yeah, that's
right? That was true of phones. It was true of computers. So, and his timeline is not particularly aggressive. You know, the embedded things don't get into your body until the 2040s, 2030s at the earliest. So we're still talking quite a ways down the road, and maybe it'll be longer. Maybe you're right. But this is what I've always wondered is, will we get to the point where there'll be a new technological advance and I will be old enough that I just won't want to do it? And putting earbuds into my temples sounds like something where I'm like, you know what? I'll just wear earbuds. It's fine. And everybody like, come on, Grandpa. It's a non-invasive procedure. It's really simple. It's not going to hurt. And I'll just be like, no, I'd rather just wear the earbuds.
Yeah, there is going to come. I'm sure that day's coming. Like I had that today when they talked at the Google I/O a little bit about their plans with standardized emoji practices. And I just went, are we really talking about standardized emoji stuff?
Well,
like
but that's a standard. That's not Google doing it. They're just saying we're going to adopt the new standard.
They're saying they're going to adhere to a standard.
Your underlying upset is that there is a standard for emojis.
That is exactly what I'm saying. So Google, and good on them, good on Apple, good on everybody for embracing the standard. But I hate that it's a standard. Like, gosh dang it, give me my sideways colon and parenthesis, and there's my smiley face. Take it or leave it. Like, I'm starting to have some of those moments crop up in some of the social stuff, but you know, I'd take the earbuds implanted. I'm all right with that. So, you know, it's fine. But how will I feel when I'm 80 and my son's 40? I don't know. You know, he'll be in 2040. Nick will be 40. So what?
And he'll be saying, Dad, you can't hear the music if you don't have the embedded earbuds. I can't share it with you. There's no way to share it with me.
Yeah,
there's no mini jack.
When I was a kid, I don't need this. I just have X-Files reruns to watch. You kids go do what you're gonna do. Like I can kind of see, how. I mean, I'm starting to be more and more empathetic to the plight of the aged as I get older, because I can see where they started to go a little bit south on new things all the time. But let's hope, Tom, we keep up.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to our pick of the day, and it comes from Jesse, aka hometown rival in perfectly cromulent Indianapolis. To further combat unimportant email clutter, he relies on a great service called Unroll.me. At least he calls it a great service. I've never used it, but he likes it. After logging in with my email credentials, the website or app presents a list of emails sent from marketers, subscription lists, etc., and lets me do one of three things for each. I can keep getting the email. I can let it hit my inbox if I like it, something I really want. I can add the email to my roll-up list, which groups multiple emails into a single daily email. So it's like, I get so many of them, it's hard to read, but if I could look at them all at once, there you go. And I can unsubscribe and never be bothered by the email again. Gmail does a similar thing where you're just like, just do the unsubscribing for me, thank you. He says, to date, I've kept 36 emails in my inbox, rolled up 128 emails, and unsubscribed to 153. Not too shabby. Services is free with ads in the roll-up. Says they aren't too annoying in my opinion, and is available through the web and on iOS. Unroll.me.
It's an interesting solution to the age-old problem.
Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. A few more messages in response to our conversation Monday about email clutter. For instance, Justin in currently balmy Arkansas said that he is an hourly and he has a boss who is on salary and always on call. We have a great working relationship, he says. However, about once a week, I used to get a call from him on my day off. Conversation was always about work-related items, but not always an emergency situation. So finally, I just talked to him about it and asked if he would only contact me if an emergency arises. He apologized and said he forgets hourly employees have lives outside of work because of his role of being always on call. Work is his life. So Justin's advice to people is, if you run into this situation, just talk to your boss about it. You might be surprised how well it goes or how sorry you might feel for your boss's situation.
This is hard for me where I work for myself, and I try to say, like on Sundays, I'm not looking at email, I'm not going near any of that stuff, but I still get texts from people I work with or collaborate with.
Sure.
Like if I get something from you, I'm going to go, oh yeah, we need to talk about that before Wednesday comes or whatever. And like it's kind of impossible to get away from, but in his case, he may have, yeah, he's right. You may have a little recourse. Just talk to your boss, see if there's a way to work around it. And the other guy didn't mean to.
Yeah. And then yesterday, Patrick pointed out the very handy do not disturb mode, but S-Tim, who's an on-call professional as well, says, yeah, that doesn't work for me because I need to be available. So he likes the idea of setting a policy about email and limiting notifications to emergency use. So he likes that French law. He's like, yeah, let's make a policy that says no, shouldn't have to use do not disturb to keep you away. And Hometown Rival also pointed out, he was our pick today as well, that you can use the VIP feature in iOS to only get certain notifications from people. So that might work for us, Tim, too. Say, oh, the people I know I'm going to get on-call responses for, put them on the VIP list or make them a favorite to make them exception to do not disturb. I do that, actually. I don't have email notifications on. And some very dear friends and relatives do email notifications, and I think they're crazy. Like, it's just constantly like bing, 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 bing. Yeah. That means nothing to me, so I turn them off, but I have a VIP list. And for instance, if Veronica Belmont sends me an email, I do get a notification because she doesn't send me them very often. And usually when it is sent, it's for an important thing. So it makes sense. There are some more tools out there. And thanks to people for pointing these out. I think they're good tips for folks.
Yep, real good.
Matthew writes, just been switched on in the UK is Android Pay, and my card has finally been registered. He was hoping he was ahead of the news cycle on this, and it did break today, so we're giving him the credit for it. He sent us a screenshot for proof, and then asked that we redact the last 4 digits if we shared it. So we're just not going to share it, but we saw it. He definitely had it.
Yeah,
yeah.
We believe.
So congratulations, Android Pay users in the UK. Thinnis in South Africa writes on the NVIDIA 1080 and 1070 graphics cards, I hoped that these cards would be the first cards to make 4K gaming for the PC at 60 frames per second possible, but they do not. I got a feeling we will have to wait another generation for that. I'm sure NVIDIA will launch a 1080 Ti or Titan model sometime later, probably to head off AMD's top-of-the-line card when that is introduced, so there may be some hope for this generation. As for an upgrade, they offer 70% over the original 980, which makes that a huge jump. Having said that, and after playing Rise of the Tomb Raider and Doom at 1080p, my current 970 had no problem to achieve a solid 50 plus frames per second at 1080p with high settings in both games. So not sure what the reason would be to upgrade. Having said that, I still want one.
All right, I am totally with Thinnis here, and I'm just going to say he's right on all accounts. This is one of those generational jumps that if you have a 970 or 980, probably ought to wait this one out. It's not going to be the best investment for you right now to make that jump. You're not going to get, I don't think, the equal performance that you can see for the money from that generation to this generation. And this is one to skip. Next generation probably going to be what you're looking for. All that being said, I also want one. But he's right. People should not buy it. I shouldn't buy it. Don't do it. But you kind of wanted to do it.
Yeah, and that's what Patrick and I were talking about yesterday. Is like, it's not a bad jump. It's perfectly legitimate. If you've got a 900 series, you probably don't need it. And Patrick was like, well, who's going to buy these? I'm like, people who just want them. People who can't resist that urge of like, oh, but I have to have it.
It's really frustrating if you feel like you are back, if you're behind other people, if you're very competitive about how you feel about PC gaming. And this is a cutting edge group. They're going to all go out and get the hot new thing regardless. And those people are taken care of. But the rest of us who are kind of in 980 land, I have a 980 Ti that is screaming great. And I just know I will have buyer's remorse if I do this because I'm already doing really well. So I'm gonna wait. So Thinnis, if you need a guy to commiserate with, I'm your man.
Robert from Columbia, New Jersey, thought the Netflix increase was happening this month. That's what Netflix had said, starting in May. The people who had been exempted from the price increase for the past couple of years will start to see an increase. He said, well, Netflix charged me $7.99 on May 12th. I still have 2 screens plus an HD plan. Plan page says your plan price is guaranteed through at least June 16th, 2016. He says, I'll check again next month. Maybe I just missed the increase deadline for the month. That is interesting. They said they would start rolling out the increases in May and that you should go to your account settings page to see when your increase would come. So somehow you made the deadline. You didn't get your increase yet, and won't get it until June. So
you think there's the strategy to them doing a slower rollout of the change?
I don't know.
People, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, just to get fewer people complaining at once rather than dumping them all. Maybe
overwhelm their service department or something. Yeah.
Well, that is it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Thank you, Scott Johnson. A pleasure, as always. We covered a lot today.
Yeah, it was a big mouthful today, and I was really, really happy to be here. And, sometimes when you're done with a hot, sweaty show like this and you've just had all the technology you can stand, you think about to yourself, well, maybe I want to see Warcraft with a bunch of friends next month when it premieres on the weekend of the 11th of June. And I would say to that, well, if you live in the Salt Lake area or surrounding states and you want to come in here and see the likes of me and Tom Merritt here, who'll be here, physically be here. We're even going to do a DTNS from my studio.
Yeah, it's not going to be VR or AR.
That's right. Yeah, I wish. And then Brian Ibbett, a bunch of other people all coming out to see it. If you're interested in being part of that viewing and you are a Warcraft nerd like us, go to frogpants.com/Warcraft and follow me on Twitter @Scott Johnson. And as always, Tom, great time today. I really had a good time today.
Not that we need it, but did you see that some tickets come with a free Warcraft account?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but yes, that is correct.
That's insidious.
It is a little insidious. They've also, I think they've got other stuff up their sleeve, and we just haven't heard what it is yet. But they're planning a pretty big deal around this movie, and I have it on some authority from someone who has seen it, whose name I will never reveal, that it's pretty good.
Oh, so you can actually say it was pretty good.
I can say that.
When I listened to the instance, you were like, I'm not even going to say what he thought.
And that guy can't tell me. So the guy you're thinking of, he can't.
That's a different guy.
Say what he thinks. So different guy.
Okay.
But that guy said I could say it as long as I didn't say his name. And that guy said,
so many people.
Yeah, I know a few people who have, and most of them are to keep their mouth shut. But this guy's like, oh, you're going to love it. So come on out if you can.
So if you want to watch Warcraft movie with Scott and I, where do they go again?
They go to frogpants.com/Warcraft.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for supporting this show. That you are our only source of revenue. The only way we are able to feed and clothe ourselves doing this show is by you giving us like $1. Can you afford $1? Are you willing to give us $1? Go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support, or just in addition, tell a friend. Let people know. Review us on iTunes. Everything helps. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-593-2459. That's 512-59-DAILY. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
That was an efficient show, man.
Yeah, highly efficient.
Like, how did we keep that under 50 minutes?
I don't know. Well, if we've done anything over the last 10 or 12 years, it's learned a little rhythm.
It shows.
You guys did a great job, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you didn't drift off into any long tangents.
Yeah. They were short, dainty tangents.
Using trigonometry to evaluate our show.
Yes. Metric system.
Cool. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, like you guys hit like a couple of instances. Scott, you just had a one sentence. Okay, blah blah blah. This
perfect encapsulation.
Yeah, I like those anyway because they're, I don't know. You can say a lot. You could use a lot more words, but sometimes you don't need them.
I was just going to speak in emojis, but then I figured that would annoy Scott.
Oh, I would hate it so much.
It would be a visual show.
I hate emojis. I don't know what it is, man. I am so not on board with them. I freaking hate them.
I'm going to do an audio podcast all in emojis.
That's terrible.
Challenge accepted.
I have a startup idea to basically do, peeps, right?
Peeps.
I want to do just emoji peeps so you can just buy them.
Peeps. Peeps are so bad.
Oh, they're horrible for you.
I feel like Showbot did not reset.
Oh, no. It's not working.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. I was definitely seeing Night Attack headlines there.
Let me see. W. Scottus 1. Show titles are at DC Link. Oh.
There's a different. Okay, Showbot's got issues today. Got it. And then you guys were putting that link in the chat room, and I didn't understand. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, this is great.
Got it. Literally, I clicked on the thing that said "Got it." Top, or let me just go through.
They're in alphabetical. No, they're just a lot of Allos. Never mind.
So picnic. Google says Allo at home. Google home with each home a smaller font. I don't think that works for the titles. The Google Spring Home Show. Allo, is it Google you're looking for?
I've done that joke.
Knock knock, who's there?
Hello, knock knock. Is there anyone at home? That one packs them all in.
I don't want to call it Allo. I would just want to call it Google Chat or something else. Ugh, I hate it. That name sucks.
Which one? Knock Knock?
No, Allo. I hate it.
You know what
it's-
else sucked? iPad.
Well,
Totally got used to
No,
it.
Allo is annoying because how do you pronounce it? Do you say Allo? Allo?
I know it sounds like you're trying to fake a British thing. It's like
Yeah, it's obnoxious.
But we'll get. That's one of the. That is exactly the kind of thing that if this takes off and everybody's using it, which I'm not saying it will, but if it were, we'd get totally used to saying Allo. All the
maybe,
time.
but they need to get the kids because that's who they're aiming for. It's all about cat pictures and emojis and whispers and yelling. I mean, it's all about them. That's who they want.
It is
They're going
about
to change
whispers
the
and
name
yelling.
in 3 years.
So if they want them, the name Allo is not going to roll off the tongue of my 16-year-old. He's going to be.
I'm doing Allo knock knock. Is there anyone home?
Okay.
That's a good one though.
Because I need to pick it. Not like
It also looks like a shortening of Allosaurus.
So they're really going for a very specific audience of people who are into allosaurs.
It'd be
Herpetologists
nice.
for the most
It would
part.
not, you know what? They do if they can do dessert items as names. Why can't they do dinosaur? Like this is the Triceratops edition.
See, I Am Stedman said in 2005, I was thoroughly convinced the Nintendo Wii was going to have to rename itself in the UK.
Well, but no, don't get me wrong. The Wii is dumb, but it's dumb in a Japanese bad naming convention kind of way. Like,
Okay, do you want to hear a joke about that? That's very similar. So back in the 80s, Mitsubishi released a car, sports car. Remember the Mitsubishi Starion?
oh yeah,
Yeah, guess what that's supposed to be?
what?
If you're a Japanese guy that wanted to kind of pull the image of Ferrari with the prancing horse, what would you call the car?
Stallion.
Yeah.
Really?
It totally makes sense, and now you can't stop laughing.
Oh my gosh.
The first time I heard that, I think it was Jeremy Clarkson, right, from
right.
Top Gear. I think I heard it from him. And it was
But wait, what happened to that car's no longer gonna be right?
But that's the Starion.
Names like Snapchat, WeChat, like I don't know why.
It is racist. That's what makes it so bad. I'm Stedman.
That's what
Napster wasn't much better.
I agree. Although, well, yeah, no, you're right. Napster kind of sucks.
We get used to them.
And there's no more names out there. I just think
Twitter is a dumb name.
But I can't get used to saying "May the Fourth be with you" because it sounds like I'm slurring the word "force."
I actually don't like that. May the Fourth be with you.
I hate it. I don't mind that there's Star Wars Day. I just can't stand saying "May the Fourth be with you."
Because
love
it's
it.
so
I love it so much.
self-referential.
I know.
It's obnoxious.
It's perfect.
To me,
No.
these are the same boat. These two things.
It's cringeworthy. I think that's the thing. It's like there's a cringe factor with naming,
Yeah.
and you like how far do you like Allo? I don't know. Hey, there's a title for you.
Allo, I don't know.
Allo was taken, so they had to go Allo.
Allo is cool. That would have been all right. Because it is
Allo. It's like aloe vera. Just say Allo. Allo.
Allo. What are you using, Allo?
Allo.
It's like, oh, you sunburned? No. I mean,
No, I got burned by my friend who was messaging me on Allo, though.
feature-wise though, it looked really great. So I'm open-minded. I'll give it a shot.
Well, Chad Johnson obviously doesn't watch my show
Oh, Chad, pink hair and your.
because he's text messaging me right
Wait, I
now.
thought Chad had red hair. It went pink.
Well, it depends on when you look at it. I don't know what that means, but last time I saw it, it looked a little pink.
Depends on the lighting. Allo.
See?
Knock knock.
Hello.
Knock knock.
Wait, what is knock knock again?
It's
That's the early video thing.
That's the thing where you can see.
Yeah.
Why does that even need a name?
It doesn't.
It just happens, right?
Dumb. A lot. You know what I was getting out of this thing? I don't know. This isn't fair, probably. But everyone always for years and years have talked about Apple's bubble of, not that.
reality distortion.
Distortion field. Google's got one of their own going. They all do.
Well,
feel it in there.
The way I was thinking about it today, because I was seeing your reaction is very representative of many other reactions that I saw today.
Yeah.
And yet there are also people who are way into this stuff and very excited about it. And I think legitimately so. I think what happens is we got in our heads as a tech culture that we had to be blown away all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not true. People can have an announcement. I think the Google announcements today are all perfectly legit, like, hey, we're trying a new thing. We're trying this new thing. There's nothing in here that I'm like rolling my eyes, other than maybe the naming conventions, right? But every product, I'm like, yeah, oh, that makes perfect sense for them to try. I don't know if it'll be successful, but they'd be stupid not to try these things. I think the Google Home probably has a pretty good shot. It is a fair competitor to the Amazon Echo. I think they needed to have some kind of different take on chatbot, and this is an interesting one. I think the video calling thing is kind of nifty. Again, none of these things are blowing me away, but they're all good efforts, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Totally agree. I mean, Apple, no, I wouldn't say they're to blame, but that culture of we expect to be blown away every time anyone gets on stage, no matter if it's Amazon or Samsung or these.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's established, and
Because
everybody.
it happens to Apple too. They make some perfectly legitimate announcements, and people are like, "Oh, Apple's lost it."
Yeah.
It's like, well, oh, maybe, or maybe they're just making solid base hits. Get four base hits, you still score a run. People can't hit home runs every time.
I think it's just a long line of kind of the theatrics of product announcements. Not just in technology, but
there's a legitimate reaction to that, right? Which is like you've sold us that you're giving us the most revolutionary thing ever, and so we have learned to have the reaction of this is not the most revolutionary thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the theatrics, exactly, Roger.
I mean, we all can't electrocute an elephant to prove that AC is a horrible, horrible way to distribute electricity.
Right? Because then everybody like, Edison did that already. So old. You're just ripping off Edison. Yeah. Actually, that's what I'm going to start to say in every announcement from now on. Like, this is really just derivative of Edison.
Yeah, I mean, this just all comes from his original experiments. Maybe even Tesla.
Do they not use electricity? Come on.
Yeah.
Totally. You could give new life to the meaning. Have you seen the elephant or gone to see an elephant? What was that 18th or 19th century phrase?
See a man on a horse? That's not that one.
Seeing the elephant. 1800. It was seeing the elephant. That's the phrase.
Tetzer guy says, we don't expect to be blown away. It's 2016. We deserve to be blown away. Where's my self-driving flying car? Damn it.
We all get
Moeller tried to deliver that, and then the
good old Moeller.
The physics of aerodynamics caught up with him. It's like, I'm not going to put a big wing on it because I want it to look like a car. But if the wing's too short, it won't fly. But it can hover. You see, the idiom to see seeing the elephant is an Americanism, which refers to gaining experience of the world at a significant cost.
Oh,
it's like technology. I mean, you gotta pay a lot of money to be blown away these days.
Elephant in the room. That's
Takes a village.
Takes a village.
Yeah.
Takes a village to see an elephant in the room. My dad used to do that. He'd mix all his metaphors. He'd say, and he'd get them wrong too. So we used to make fun of him. He'd say, Scotty, he'd call me Scotty. Scotty, you're always putting the horse before the cart. And I go, well, Dad, I think that's where the horse is supposed to go. You know what I mean? And he'd get all mad and say, early to bed, going to work makes a man get the early worm, or some, complete mix-up. And he was so earnest, but it was
great.
Yeah.
Eileen does that a little bit sometimes. It's one of my favorite things about it.
It's great.
I got a good one. It takes a village to feed an elephant, which factually is probably true.
Well, it might, actually, especially if the elephant eats people.
Native people.
Just the natives.
It's
tourists are off limits.
All right. We are published. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and hope you had a factual and avoided representative biases time. Put the horse before the cart. Goodbye.